Welcome to this explainer. If you were a kid in the 90s, you probably remember the street sharks, those half-human, half-shark powerhouses eating their way through the pavement. But what you probably don't know is that this wonderfully absurd 90s phenomenon was completely redefined by an epic internet prank.
So how does a 90s cartoon about rollerblading sharks get its entire history completely rewritten by a middle schooler? Well, let's dive right into this bizarre rabbit hole. We're going to trace a really wild path, from a corporate attempt to capture toy market lightning in a bottle, all the way to a massive decade-long digital hoax. Section 1. The Turtle Mania Wave. To understand why these hulking, catchphrase-spewing aquatic heroes even exist in the first place, we gotta look at Turtle Mania. Between 1987 and 1991, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sold roughly $1.1 billion in toys. Every rival studio was fiercely competing to create the absolute next billion-dollar franchise, giving us wild concepts like Battletoads, Biker Mice from Mars, and of course, our aquatic heroes. Mattel wanted in on the action, so toy designer Joe Galliani took a brilliant, data-driven approach. He literally called up local libraries to find out what books boys were checking out the most. The overwhelming answer? Sharks. I mean, thanks to the lasting cultural impact of Jaws and the recent premiere of Discovery Channel's Shark Week, sharks were at an absolute fever pitch. It was the perfect vehicle for Mattel to launch a new brand. Section 2. Anatomy of a Street Shark. Okay, so the lore here is actually kind of wild. It centers around a DNA splicing process called gene slamming, invented at Fission University by the evil Dr. Paradigm. It's basically horrifying David Cronenberg-style body horror science masked as Saturday morning entertainment. The evil doctor forcefully upgrades humanity with animal traits, mutating the four Bolton brothers, John, Clint, Bobby, and Coop, into the hulking street sharks against their will. And this brilliantly highlights the, let's call it definitely not copyright infringement, parallels between the Ninja Turtles and the street sharks. They followed a highly specific, proven formula. You need a blue-clad leader. TMNT had Leonardo. Street Sharks had Ripster. A tech genius mechanic, Donatello meets Jab. The hothead with a temper, Raphael meets the reddish-hued Big Slammu. They knew exactly what archetypes worked and just mapped them flawlessly onto giant fish. But what's really fascinating is the sheer absurdity of the villains in Fission City. They were next-level weird. You've got Dr. Piranoid, who is half-human, half-piranha, Killamari, a mutant squid, but the absolute peak of 90s cartoon writing is Slobster. He isn't just a mutant lobster. He's inexplicably merged with the literal DNA of Genghis Khan. You really have to admire the writers for just going all in on the absolute craziest ideas possible. Section 3. Merchandising and Vin Diesel. Now, the true purpose behind this 40-episode animated series was, of course, moving plastic. So to pitch these toys to buyers at the 1994 Toy Fair, Mattel actually hired a 20-something, cut-off tee-wearing Vin Diesel, years before Fast and Furious. He's enthusiastically demonstrating street shark hand puppets, dropping legendary pitch lines like, "Say hello to the round mound of pound. He loves to tenderize the competition. You literally cannot make this up." And you know what? That insane, enthusiastic Vin Diesel pitch magic absolutely worked. Street Sharks generated an astonishing $40 million in toy sales in its 1995 first season alone. It was a massive hit, and they were actually beating the Power Rangers in certain toy markets. The toys flew off the shelves because they leaned entirely into extreme 90s attitude and gimmickry. The figures featured action punching, massive biting jaws, and bizarrely real-feeling hair on top of their rubbery shark heads. The characters traveled via rollerblades, and the vehicles totally unhinged. Remember Slobster? He got his own motorcycle called the Slobster Suki, a half-lobster, half-Suzuki motorcycle. It was brilliant, chaotic toy marketing. Section 4. Expanding the Jawsome Universe. Riding this massive wave of merchandising success, the show produced 40 episodes over 3 seasons between 1994 and 1997. And if there's one thing you gotta respect, it's their unwavering commitment to the bit. Every single episode title contained the word shark. They gave us incredible masterpieces of wordplay like Shark to the Future, Jurassic Shark, and the legendary Shark Apocalypse Now. In fact, the series was so successful, it pulled off something the Ninja Turtles struggled to do at the time. It spawned a successful spin-off into a completely different property. We got Extreme Dinosaurs, focused entirely on a team of space-traveling, pool-playing dinosaurs. It absolutely proved that this whole mutated beasts with bad attitudes formula had serious staying power. Section 5. The Great Internet Hoax.
Now we arrive at the twist ending of our explainer. In 2003, long after the show went off the air, a middle school student named Jordan Miner became the editor for the Street Sharks page on TV Tome, which was kind of an early precursor to Wikipedia. And this bored middle schooler suddenly and permanently hijacked the show's entire legacy. As a harmless prank, Miner decided to weaponize the already absurd nature of the show by inventing a totally fake alternate history for the franchise. He added Roxy, the non-existent hot sister of Streex. He claimed Henry Winkler voiced a fake villain named Meat Hook. He straight up invented the episode description for Shark to the Future. He pulled all this completely out of thin air, but because the actual show was already so weird, literally nobody questioned it. Here is where it spirals. TV Tome was eventually absorbed by TV.com, and these fake facts just proliferated everywhere. They spread to Wikipedia, Amazon product descriptions, and IMDb pages. The internet blindly accepted a middle schooler's lies as historical fact for over a decade. It wasn't until 2016, 13 years later, that Miner finally confessed to the massive hoax. So as we close out this explainer, I'll leave you to ponder this. What does it actually say about the enduring, jawsome power of nostalgia that millions of people accepted a totally fake history for 13 years simply because they loved the memory of it? Our collective memory of the 90s, it turns out, is sometimes just as wonderfully bizarre as a crime-fighting, rollerblading shark.